Unfortunately, guys, the prices of SSDs, they haven't gotten any better. See, last year we thought it was just a fluke, thought it was just something that was going to go away after a while because of the U-type, because of the AI rays and stuff like that. But apparently, what we have now is a situation where the prices of NVMe SSDs, even SATA SSD, has just become something that is no longer, game as usual. They have become very expensive. I'm taking a look at the internet now, just taking a look at what's available. Guys, I am kind of tripping because 512 gigabytes of SSD still going for as high as 129 euros. Of course, if it's a known brand. If it's not a known brand, you are looking at about 89 euros 99 cents, and this is something that keeps changing over and over and over again. We're not talking about RAM sticks here. Understand that this is me just looking at SSDs. If you take a look at this channel, you will understand that I tend to buy a lot of SSDs, and I've been doing it since way back. So I understand where we are coming from. There used to be a time where 512 gigabyte was bought for about 39 euros, and we were still complaining that it was too expensive. But right now, 1 terabyte, you're going to be lucky if you can get it. I'm just going to quickly check to be sure that I have, like updated, information when it comes to that 1 terabyte NVMe SSD. I'm seeing that for about, about, 159 euros, which I will say it's a little bit disheartening, because if you take a look a few months back, we used to buy this for there about 89 euros. Crucial P310 SSD for 159 euros 99 cents. And this thing, we are currently now in July. It doesn't look like it's going to get better. If it didn't get better in January, February, March, I don't want to believe that July is going to be different, and it's just going to get worse. You see, in a few months now, we're going to be hitting the U-type season. I'm talking about the October, November, December months of the year, where things typically tends to just get expensive because of shipping and other stuff. Because if you take a look, most of these stuffs right here, they are coming from our dear China. See, this is the problem, and it is a real problem, because take a look at the used market. It has also extended, because we actually tend to buy these hardwares to upgrade the used PCs that we put out there in the market. Take a look at the hardware money shop. You're going to be seeing PCs, older PCs with 1 terabyte of NVMe SSDs. We need these hardwares to actually make things happen, to make these products come back to the market. Without these SSDs, it's going to be difficult to actually, resell these items. People want to buy it because we are selling these things on the strength that the SSDs are new. And when people hear that, it's a very strong selling point. But right now, the price of those hardwares just needs to kind of get, a little bit higher, because if we buy SSDs for very expensive price, we also have to pass this price somehow to the consumers. We're not going to make losses from these transactions. It is kind of disturbing. 256 gigabytes. I don't tend to use that a lot, but let's just take a look and see what that is coming at. Coming at 52 euros is also very disheartening. This is something that we used to buy for like 18 euro 99 cents, and that is even a brand that I would consider not a known brand. When you begin to go, to the Crucials, the Acers, then you see that this thing right here, a 256 gigabyte NVMe SSD, going for 49 euro 99 cents, pretty much 50 euros. This is also something that we are talking about. 128 gigabyte. This is not what people tend to use anymore, but it is also the same. The prices across board have just become so bad, and one begin to ask the question, what is going on? How long is this thing going to remain like this? Now things have remain like this. We do not know exactly what we or where we have to turn to, but I'm still kind of keeping hope alive that at some point in the future, I don't know how that's going to play out, but I feel like something's going to change and things are just going to go back to normal. The thing is, in the used market, is also not different. As soon as the used market understands that the prices of new items are getting expensive, the sellers of those items, the used SSD in this case, also have a way of just adjusting their prices. I went onto eBay. I'm just going to go back there again and see what the used 1 terabyte SSD, NVMe SSD, is currently, trending for. And I want to tell you that, look, even the used SSDs are not cheap anymore. A Samsung 1 terabyte NVMe SSD PM981A. If you know, you know, because this is one SSD that is kind of a standard when it comes to used SSD. This Samsung right here, selling for 119 euros 90 cents, pretty much about 30 euros different if you compare it to an unknown brand, 1 TB SSD. I'm kind of guessing that when you want to get a Samsung, SSD, you're going to pay more than 150 euros. In any case, the price increase is across board. Doesn't matter if you are going for new, you are going for used, be ready to pay a little bit more. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky, a little bit annoying also, because you still get potential buyers reaching out to you. They want to get a PC and they want to price this PC. They want to get this PC for rock bottom prices, and they begin to refer you back to the fact that these things were cheap a few months ago. Not everybody still understands that, look, prices have kind of increased. And this is why we make these videos, in our own little way, to make the public aware that this is the new normal. It's not possible for you to get a PC anymore for 10 euros, for 20 euros, including an SSD, including the RAM stick, 16 GB in this case, and including a decent processor, which everybody tends to want to get. Things have changed, and not everybody knows about this because most of the consumers are busy working, trying to raise money to buy the things that they need, but they are not aware that this is what's going on. But for a lot of us that are still on this YouTube street, watching YouTube videos, following trends, especially when it comes to technology, what AI is doing to the market right now, you can pretty much relate to the fact that things have been like this for pretty much about a year now, and that is where we have found ourselves. Hopefully, things are still going to change for the better. We're not going to throw in the towel now and say, look, we do not want to bring, used items to the market anymore. IT hardwares, desktop PCs, laptops, monitors is what we have come to love. And it doesn't matter how high the price is, we will just have a way to weather the storm, hopefully. And at some point in the future, we will have reason, to smile again. I felt like sharing this video just to give you a little bit of insight as to what's going on in the hardware money shop, because you might have taken a look now and you are wondering, where have all the PCs go? Yes, hardwares are hard to find, and even the few hardwares that we have, they have become very, very difficult, to get responsible NVMe SSDs without having to give a leg or an arm. Hope this video helps you. If it does, go ahead, click on the like button. Ensure you are subscribed to the channel. Let's get this conversation once again going. Till I see you again in the next one. Peace out.